Let's talk about those buyers. Who's qualified? Who's not qualified? I mean, there's recently a rash of, well, it's been going on for a while, but a rash of, hey, buy no money down kind of thing. Uh, who, who's a qualified? Who's not a qualified buyer?
So firstly, we're really strict, and we continue to get more and more strict because, as you say, there's more and more people entering the industry, and more people entering the industry who are not qualified and believe they can buy a business with no money down. And while I'm not saying that's impossible, it's not something that we accommodate. It significantly reduces the risk of a deal completing. Generally speaking, what we would describe as a qualified buyer is someone who, or a company that has cash on hand to do the transaction, or they already have a lender lined up who's committed to the transaction, and they've actually reviewed the deal in detail. So not just a letter of support like, hey, I'm Thomas's banker. I confirm Thomas has, I don't know, $10 million and wants to buy a business. It has to be, they've reviewed the business we're representing. They've reviewed the financials. They've reviewed other things. They've reviewed me if I'm the buyer, my financial position. So we'll look at that. And then also buyers who, at least for us, this is our qualification process, will happily follow our process. Because a lot of buyers will go through courses, or they'll hear something from a friend, or they'll have a background in a different industry, and they'll come in and they'll say, we're only going to buy the business if we can follow this process. We don't deviate from our own process within reason. See, sometimes there's some discretion in there, but we're generally having like hundreds or thousands of buyers look at every business we're representing. There's a lot of work that goes into the qualification process. We won't accommodate people who don't have cash, but I don't know, want to fly in and meet the seller on day one. There's a lot of time wasters and tire kickers out there, so we won't do that. So for us, qualification is we'll follow process. We believe they're a serious buyer based on a conversation or their understanding of the business. And they also have capital or proven access to capital, not I plan to buy this business and then I'm going to use a seller note, a bank loan, and like a friend that's going to give me some money. That's not who we're looking to work with. Yeah, at least.
So I can vouch for that because when we were looking at that business on FE International, we had to prove a screenshot of $7 million in an account that we were trying to buy a $2 million business. Yeah. What when you say it's not impossible to do those no money out of talk, those are extreme examples, and I always say that those are extreme, then they're not impossible. What are you talking about there? Are you saying that does happen occasionally?
Not through us, but I'm sure they do happen somewhere where there's maybe like a distress sale. Like if someone's literally ready to shut down their business, maybe there's a world where they're happy to give it away for no money down and seller financing. In my experience, nobody, and it probably wouldn't be an extreme to say literally nobody with a actual genuinely good business that's growing, has a team in place, is in an industry that's going to be around for a long time, is willing to give that away to a buyer who doesn't have any cash. Because firstly, they have no real need to do that. And secondly, there are plenty of buyers willing to buy that business who do have cash. So that's not to say there's not a possibility to get financing on a deal, but generally speaking, we guide sellers towards the expectation that a buyer is going to pay 70 to 80% of the purchase price upfront. So on a $100 million deal, we might expect the upfront cash to be $75 million. But we certainly wouldn't advise a seller to accept a deal which is, say, $10 million down on that same transaction. So I'm sure it's not important. I wouldn't want to talk in absolutes and say it's impossible to buy a business with no money down, but at least anecdotally, I don't think you're getting access to good businesses for that. And as a M&A firm with a good reputation who's been in the industry for a long time, we generally don't represent the kind of lower cohort of unsuccessful businesses, which maybe the seller needs to exit, but we don't want to represent those businesses.
I hope this video has inspired you. If you need help buying your first $1 million business, make sure to visit me at DEALFLOWSYSTEM.net. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe down below. Comment on it, share it, tell everyone about it. And thanks for watching.